Hi Year 10, nice to see you. I'm just back from bike ride, so I'm a little bit sweaty and pink, but never mind. Nice to see you. So this video goes with task 2, the second week of Macbeth that we're doing, where you get given the quotation. So it's called Getting to Know the Play Macbeth. What I'm going to do is I'll talk you through the quotes that are in the PowerPoint, so you need your PowerPoint, and I'll do it in chunks because the videos will be too long otherwise. So I'll kind of do an Act 1 and 2 maybe film, and then another one for the Act 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so your task is to have a look at the PowerPoint and look at the quotes. We haven't read the play, we're going to save that until we get back together, but to get used to the quotes is good because it helps you get used to the language, to get you used to that 400-year-old language, get you to know the characters, the themes, the ideas, all those things that run through this play. All right, so print off the PowerPoint if you can, or copy out those quotations onto some paper that you can work around, like mind maps, or you could make them into little revision cards, cue cards, however you work best, I don't mind, or make your own little PowerPoint. Okay, you can download it and then you can edit onto the PowerPoint if you want. Okay, so look at the quotation. They're in the right order of the play. Translate them first of all, so what do you think is actually being said? Find out about the character who's speaking. What does it tell you about them? What does it tell you about the plot, the themes, the ideas, the changes that are happening as the play carries on? Okay. Analyse the language of the quote, so sort of thinking about what methods that Shakespeare's using. Is he using poetic techniques? There's a lot of poetry. You might think about the phonology, the sound effects. You might think about the sentence types, sentence moods, all those things that give meaning. Okay. Illustrate, so you just start to visualise what's being said and the imagery within the quote. And then really, for an extension but a really good task, is to learn the quotes or parts of the quotes off by heart. In your exam you're given an extract, a really short extract, and you have to write about a theme or a character in that extract and in the rest of the play. So you need quotes, all right, you're going to need them. So let's have a look at the Act 1 and Act 2 quotes first of all. Okay, so Act 1, Scene 1. You've got the witches. It's the first thing on stage, and you've got them saying, "Fair is foul and foul is fair, hover through the fog and filthy air." So you get a real rhythm, you get a real chanting. You can have a look at that iambic rhythm and count your syllables if you want and see how that works. Look at rhyme, look at rhythm. Sound effects in there is quite interesting because you've got the F's, fair and foul and fog and filthy. And so you've got alliteration with F, which is called a fricative, and it kind of gives you this spitty, breathy, chanty sound. We've also got opposites in there, so fair and foul. So fair is good and foul is evil. So good is evil and evil is good, and you get this mixture of who's good, who's evil, who's doing what. Is Lady Macbeth on the outside good, or is she evil, or Macbeth? Okay. You also get the idea of hovering, and the Jacobean audience would totally have believed that a witch could fly. All right, so you've got them hovering through that fog and filthy air. So you get the kind of real beliefs in witchcraft. Pathetic fallacy as well with the fog and the filthy air, that idea of the mood being set through weather. Okay, so Act 1, Scene 2, you get the sergeant. Now, the sergeant is a tiny character. I think that's probably the only time you see him. And he's a device, really, to recount some things that have happened to set up the context of this play. So Shakespeare doesn't have to show you all the battles. So the sergeant is kind of recounting the war that's just happened and telling us a bit about Macbeth and Banquo, two of the really key characters. So they say that Banquo and Macbeth were just amazing warriors. They were heroes. They were just such dignified warriors. And he says that they were as cannons overcharged with double cracks. So they were so strong, they were like cannons. So you've got a simile there. They were like cannons, and they were overcharged, had lots of gunpowder in them, lots of fuel in them, double cracks. So you get this sense that actually they're full of double bullets, double bombs, double cannonballs. They were just super strong. That imagery there of them as warriors sets them up as really positive characters at the beginning. So the sergeant is describing Macbeth there as a heroic warrior. So we haven't met Macbeth yet. We've had him linked to evil in Act 1, Scene 1, because the witches are actually chanting a spell to put a curse on Macbeth. And then you hear about him from the sergeant as this heroic warrior. Okay, Act 1, Scene 5, you get Lady Macbeth. Now, Macbeth has now heard through the witches that he might become king, and his ambition is just so strong. And he writes to his wife, Lady Macbeth, and says, "You'll never guess what, I've seen these witches and they've told me I'm going to be king." And so he's like, really excited. But Lady Macbeth doesn't believe that he's strong enough, and she says that he's not there. She's reading a letter. That Macbeth is too full of the milk of human kindness to go and kill the king, to find the quickest way for him to become king. And if you think about the imagery there, he's too full of milk. So, and this pale and white and sweet and nourishing substance. He's white and sweet and nourishing and pale and pasty. And it's feminine, it comes from women. And so he's feminine, he's weak, he's not strong enough to kill the king. And so actually Lady Macbeth is painting him as this weak character. And she has to be the masculine one. She has to take on that role. So she subverts the normal roles, saying that she is going to have to persuade him. Act 1, Scene 5. Lady Macbeth. This is one of her key scenes. Now, she wants to become queen, and she wants Macbeth to become king. And so what she does is she calls on the spirits. So she calls on the witches. So some people say that she is herself a witch. And she says, "Come, you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here, and fill me from the crown to the toe, top full of direst cruelty." So, come, you spirits. She's calling on spirits. Come, you evil forces, fill me up. Okay, fill me up with evil. Unsex me here. Take away my femininity. Make me masculine. Make me strong. Make me be the dominant partner, so that I can persuade Macbeth. Okay, he's too milky. He's too white and pale, so I've got to be the masculine strong one, okay? But I can then persuade him to go ahead with murder, with regicide of killing King Duncan, okay? Act 1, Scene 5 again, Lady Macbeth. She's starting to say how she's going to persuade him and coerce him. She's saying, "Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it." Okay, so look all sweet and nice on the outside, and like a flower, look innocent on the outside, but underneath be the serpent, be the snake, be the poison, be the symbol of evil from the Garden of Eden. All right, so this idea of manipulation and deceit. Okay, look sweet, but actually be plotting murder. Act 1, Scene 7, Lady Macbeth. Now this is about promises. Now he's kind of said, "I'm not going to kill the king. I'm not going to do that. I'll go to hell." God sees everything. He's omniscient. He's all-seeing. And he's omnipotent. He's all-powerful. So he's saying, "I'm not going to kill the king." And she says, "If I'd made a promise to you, there's no way I'd break a promise." And she says, about a baby, that I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed his brains out. Okay, so she's saying, well, if I promised to do something, I would never ever go back on a promise. So if I promised to kill my baby for you, I'd do it. I'd never break that promise. So it's a really horrendous image that she has there. Really horrible, but it's a way to manipulate him and make him feel emotional, and it's an emotional blackmail really, because you do hear that they've lost a child, and she's using that against him to persuade him. Really horrible, really nasty, and the imagery is just grim. Okay, so Act 2. Now she's coerced Macbeth. She's persuaded him to go and kill the king. She's set the plan. She's sorted it all out. She's got everyone drunk. King Duncan is staying at their castle. She's got everyone drunk. She's got the guards drunk, and they've all gone to bed really late. She now knows that they're asleep, and she sends Macbeth off to murder the king, King Duncan. Okay, now he's walking through the corridors late at night, early morning probably, and he's feeling awful, and he starts to hallucinate, and he sees a dagger, a hallucinatory dagger that's just floating in front of him. And he says, "Is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle towards my hand?" And he sees this dagger, and to him, in his hallucination, it's pointing to Duncan's bedroom. It's pointing him in the way to the way of murder. So his state of mind is really unstable at this point. He's persuaded by his wife. He finds himself in a difficult position. And then he goes and he kills the king. Act 2, Scene 2, you get Macbeth then after the murder. So he comes back and he's got the 2 daggers in his hand. He's covered in blood. There's blood all over his hand. And he comes back to Lady Macbeth and he just says, but I couldn't say amen. I couldn't say a prayer. All of goodness, all of godliness has gone from me. I've committed the biggest sin of all. I've killed the king, and God chooses who is king, the royal bloodline. So he says, but wherefore could I not pronounce amen? I had most need of blessing, and amen stuck in my throat. So he is so confused and he's so guilty. His state of mind after the murder is just awful, and Lady Macbeth has to manage that. So Lady Macbeth, with a nice simple little solution, a little water clears us of this deed. So wash your hands, get the blood off, wash those daggers, all right, get all of this sorted out, clear up the evidence, and it'll be okay. All right, now that will come back to haunt her, this idea of we can wash away, no one will know, and you'll be king, okay? So this idea of us being together, that we're in this together and we can clean our hands of it, and it'll be fine, okay? So she's very controlling. Act 2, Scene 4. You've got the old man. Now, you don't see him again really, but he's just telling us a bit of context. He's telling us what's happened to the world since the king has died. So he's saying, well, everything, nature's just gone wrong. It's gone upside down and everything's back to front. And a falcon was killed by an owl. And that's the wrong way around. He's saying that horses started eating their owners and all sorts of things started going wrong. And he's saying that something has happened that is evil, that's angered God. Okay, and God is turning everything. He's furious. There's thunder, lightning, towers, church towers and steeples are being pushed down and whatever. Okay, so he's saying that the natural order of things have been twisted and subverted. Now, they might think that's God. We might think it's the witches having a great time and it's a symbol of evil. Who knows? But there's a lot of chaos and disorder, okay, following the death of King. Okay, so I'm going to stop there for Act 1 and Act 2. All right, so you are going to translate, you're going to annotate, you're going to draw, you're going to analyse, and you're going to learn. All right, and then I'll do another film. There's Act 3 onwards. Okay, well done. Off you go.